and thank you for joining us for the event organized by OpenAE Project Partnership. OpenAE stands for Promote Open Source Technologies in Non-Formal Adult Education. And I warmly welcome you in the name of Collectic, Winternet.org, Max, Egina, and All Digital. And also special thanks for Collectic for hosting us on their Big Blue Button platform. Our program today will start with a short overview with a welcome introduction done by Peter Pavlogli, CEO of All Digital. We'll have a short overview of the OpenAE project, and then three topics connected to FLOSS. FLOSS in adult education, FLOSS in workplace, and FLOSS employment and employability. The last part will be to summarize what we will discuss, and also to take a look what can we do together in the future in the field of FLOSS, in the field of training, and how to use FLOSS and FLOSS culture in the education and training to skill up and upscale the digital skills and improve the employability. First, I would like to invite Peter to take the floor and make an official introduction to the event. Please, Peter.
Thank you, Borut. I'm trying to go back to the beginning of my presentation. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the OpenAE Project AE project webinar, aiming at promoting open source technologies in non-formal adult education. The project, as Borut explained, has been implemented by All Digital together with its organizations, 4 member organizations. And today we will explore, as Borut announced, the free, libre, open source software culture and its application at work, employment, and adult education. And just to stop for a moment, can you confirm that you can hear me well, because my screen has stopped doing anything?
We
yes.
can.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
so
we can.
Good. So my name is Peter Pavlogli. I'm the CEO of All Digital. And first, I would like to say a few words about All Digital, our organization. We are a pan-European association, international association based in Brussels, currently representing 70 member organizations, non-formal education providers that work with 20,000 digital competence centers and support 1.5 million people every year in Europe with training, support, and advice. And our focus is on basically all people who need to develop their digital skills. And we believe that everyone today should be able to benefit from digital transformation. And All Digital has several main target areas, including basic digital skills, then advanced digital skills that support employment and employability. We work on the field of digital media literacy and also STEAM skills for the society. And this is All Digital Week, or weeks. And last Monday, we had a high-level opening event with Commissioner Maria Gabriel, who said during her presentation that we need to go beyond digitalization into real digital transformation of our economy and society. And it requires all Europeans to have digital skills required to be active members of the society. And indeed, those lacking digital skills are at risk of exclusion, not only from everyday life, but not only from everyday social practices, but also from educational and professional opportunities. And that's why we need to do a lot of awareness raising and support all those who don't have sufficient digital skills to respond to the challenges of the challenges of digital transformation. And that's why we are organizing All Digital Week, which is also a pan-European annual campaign organized by All Digital and its members and other partner organizations. And the aim is to engage and empower thousands and thousands of citizens to use digital technology and digital skills. This year is the 13th campaign, or Digital Week campaign, and our motto this year is to be a digital hero, or everyone can be a digital hero. And we put the focus this year on educators who are digital heroes. Training this week's. So we have involved 170 partners who are organizing almost 400 different kind of events, and we have exceeded now the number of 100,000. We are very proud of these achievements during this year, thanks to our members and partners. And during Go Digital Week, we are organizing a series of events related to the week and related to the topics covered during the week, linked to all digital main topics. And the OpenAE webinar is part of it. And I'd like to highlight just one more upcoming event tomorrow, where we will have a Biblio webinar, boosting digital skills and competencies for librarians. And we will talk about the new trends and requirements in the professional development of librarians and the library sector. And I want to show you a tool which we launched last Wednesday, less than a week ago. It's called My Digi Skills, and it's a new tool, new online digital self-assessment tool to assess digital competencies. And it's completely based on the digital competence framework. The Digicom 2.1 covers 6 proficiency levels and currently is available in 7 languages, including English. We have German, Spanish, Italian, German, Latvian, Lithuanian, and Romanian. And 5-6 new languages will be added to the platform very soon. So please feel free to visit the website mydigiskills.eu and try out the platform and test your digital skills. And finally, I'd like to say that O Digital is organizing or implementing many projects, including the OpenAE project. And with these projects, we like to address social challenges, and in collaboration with various stakeholders, universities, digital competence centers, training organizations, civil society organizations, with the support of the European Union, to provide real solutions that benefit people and the society. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very interesting OpenAE webinar, and I give you the floor, Borut. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. We'll quickly move on with a short overview of the OpenAE project. We always use OpenAE acronym, which stands for Promote Open Source Technologies in Non-Formal Adult Education. The project actually ended last year. It was an Erasmus program Key Action 2 strategic partnership project, in which all of the 5 already mentioned partners participated. The aim of the project was to promote open source technologies in non-formal education to support their digital upskilling, their meaning educators and the learners, and to also build capacity of training organizations to enable them to deliver quality and relevant digital skills training to all adults, but as you will see through the presentation, this is also implementable, if that's the correct word, in other sectors. So, but primarily the project was targeting adult education, adult education provider staff competences, and to upskill them by using open source technologies. So how did we do this, and how we would like to continue working with the tools and expand them even more? We've developed the OpenAE curriculum for the trainers working in non-formal training sector. Based on the curriculum, we produced the OpenAE toolkit, which consists of Online Academy and Slide Wiki. I will present a bit later. And we also piloted the curriculum, the toolkit, and the courses we developed. And then in the end, we prepared guidelines for transferability and upscaling to support the use of the methodology and the tools developed in the project in other contexts, meaning other countries, and also context in terms of not only adult education, but also wider. So when we speak about the OpenAE curriculum, it's based on training needs of adult education trainers and e-facilitators. That's the all digital network expression for trainers in digital skills field, and available FLOSS resources. We identified these training needs by doing research in 4 countries, in Switzerland, Italy, Belgium, and Spain. Partly through the survey, partly through the focus groups. And when we got all these specific needs of adult education trainers, we developed a curriculum. The curriculum is developed as a modular structure, which allows for easy adaptation, experimentation, and also transferability. On one hand, for the trainers, and on the other hand, also gives learners an option to select and pace their training. Altogether, we identified 18 modules, which are, when implementing as a training activity, approximately 10 hours long, plus minus 1 to 2 hours. So each module, as any learning module, correlates to the topic identified, in this case by the needs analysis, and is comprised of learning objectives, outcomes, teaching and learning activities, the learning content. Also, we defined the assessment activities and included also the resources for further learning. The OpenAE blended course, as we call it, uses the blended modality. So we are mixing here, or we wanted to mix here, the online learning and the face-to-face learning. The minimum amount of hours required here is 60 hours. So you can see that the training course is actually not meant to implement all of the 18 modules that we developed, but you pick and put the pieces together like a puzzle, because each group of the learners, it is different, has different needs, has different also knowledges and skills. So you can we build the curriculum in a way that you can really adapt to the needs of your learners, of your trainers. But due to COVID, because we piloted the whole course last year, basically from March, April on, due to COVID restrictions in all 4 countries, most of the piloting was done strictly online. Only Max in Belgium managed to organize some face-to-face sessions. When you speak about the curriculum, here you can see all the 18 modules, and in the orange, we split them into 3 groups. In the orange group, we cover the theoretical framework of the FLOSS field. In the blue, yeah, I mean, for us males, that's blue, but I'm sure it's a much more precise identification of the color, but let's call it blue. These are the tools to use in FLOSS. And then in the yellow, it's yellow modules cover the methodologies used in FLOSS. So this is how the one module looks in the curriculum. As you can see, you see the summary, and I forgot one really important thing. We linked the module to the DIGCOMP EDU framework that the European Union developed. So there's the link between the educational frameworks, which has all the list of competences for digital competence educators, and we linked our modules to DIGCOMP EDU. So it means that also everybody that uses or that goes through the training can then, through a certification, show which of the skills which are probably more broadly, not probably, but for sure, the framework is much more broadly used than, let's say, our curriculum. It can show, and it can he, she, or they has the proof of the competences gained. So just a quick overview of one of the modules. This one is the first module on the theoretical, historical, and political framework of flows. We have the summary, learning objectives, then we have the learning outcomes, also with the amount of time allocated to them, and teaching learning activities, what is the content, how the assessment should be done. So once completed with the OpenAE curriculum, we build the toolkit. Here we transform the modules to training course scenario, which are basically the fundamental elements of the toolkit. And the scenarios aim is to guide the trainers and the learners through the training period and through the modules. The training scenarios were developed by selecting, documenting, and adapting existing digital open educational resources. And again, we go back to the adapting the resources, the training to the needs of the trainers and to the trainees as much as possible. And the toolkit is available as an online open academy and is supported by a collaborative repository called SlideWiki, which employs crowdsourcing methods to support authoring, sharing, reusing, and remixing of OpenCourseWare. Both of the platforms are open, and you can actually go there now and contribute to each and any of these 18 training scenarios. With this, we of course, on one hand, incorporate the FLUS culture, the FLUS principles, and on the other hand, use the biggest advantages of the FLUS, like leaning on the community, contributing to the community, and then also getting back from the community updates, new resources, changes of the training, and stuff like that. So we like to believe, or we believe, that we took the best out of the FLOSS community and also gave something back in terms of the whole curriculum and training program that we developed. So this is a snapshot of the OpenAE Academy. Here you can see all the 18 modules or their corresponding scenarios, and one additional one, which is the Welcome to the OpenAE Toolkit, with explanation about what the toolkit is, how to change it, how to edit it, and stuff like that. And what's also really important, it's available in 6 languages, the learning scenarios: English, French, Italian, Dutch, Spanish, and Catalan. This is how, if you hear them press to the number 2, the FLUS culture, again, now we see how the training scenario looks like. Before it was just the module in terms of the curriculum, but here is the flow, how to implement that module. So again, we have the keywords, the learning objectives, the materials we use, we need to implement the scenario, and then the introduction, the context, session division. So we have here we have 3 sessions, and also there's a link to the teaching material that we prepared and which is hosted on SlideWiki. Quickly, conclusion, not to bore you too much. The blended course was piloted in 4 countries. And we were really happy when the positive was overwhelmingly positive, not only from the trainees, but also from all the trainers and mentors that supported the trainees in their training, and also from other stakeholders like policymakers and representatives of the adult education sector in the 4 countries. We had 175 participants that we started with, and 89 finished the course, which is considering the period of the implementation and in general the numbers connected to online trainings are usually much lower than 50% or more. And based on this, we also developed guidelines for transferability, where we on one hand presented the positive contributions of FLOSS to any let's say, context, to any reality, which is control over the resources, contributions to the community, that it stimulates the culture of collaboration, that also ensures the sustainability, accessibility, and transferability of the content, and in principle that it gives to the learners, it teaches them learning, it teaches them through learning by doing, and it learns them to learn. So as our friend Luca, who worked with us on the project, said, it's the same as the principle: don't give a man a fish, but learn him how to fish for himself. So, and the guidelines are targeted to two groups. One are policymakers in the field of education, where we address them in terms of giving more space to present the FLAS approach, the FLAS culture in education, and on the other hand also supported with concrete actions such as increase of funding, more use of open source technologies and software in the public administration and similar. And the second big group were educators in the field of non-formal adult education, where we approached the guidelines from two angles. One was from complete beginners, where we also explained how to adopt FLOSS, because when looking from the outside, never using it, it looks like the hill is really steep and it's really hard to climb up the mountain on which use of FLOSS and open source technology is written on. So there's a short roadmap on how to approach that. And then in the second part, there are concrete recommendations that we identified through the feedback and evaluation of the development of the training content and training course, and also, of course, the feedback that we got from the trainees and mentors. All of these results, the reports on the piloting and everything, are published on our website, where you also is a starting point to go to the OpenAE Academy and SlideWiki, and you are more than invited to visit them, and also contact us if you have any questions or problems or challenges regarding the use. Stop sharing. Yes. This was a quick snapshot, though it was not as quick as I thought. The time for discussion will be later, but if you have any of the questions, please put them in chat already. And without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Florian for the FLOSS and adult education inputs with the presentation of the methods, tools, tests, and combined with specific learning approaches. Please, Florian.
Hello, everybody. My name is Florian, and I'm working with Max in Brussels in digital inclusion with adults and children. And today I will not make a presentation, but I will ask your help, please. So it's a little exercise I want to make with you, with everybody here present. And I invite everybody to participate, even Borut, Esther, and Thanasis, but mainly all the person here present. And so what I wanted to do with you for this exercise is to use the sharing notes. So first I will explain you where are the sharing notes. So it's integrated here in the tools. So if you go on the left, on the top of the screen, you will see there is the chat. The public discussion chat, and just under you can find Notes partagées if it's a French interface, and in English sharing notes, I think. And I will ask you to click on it, please. If somebody doesn't see where it is, please say it. Yesterday, me too, I didn't know where it was, so please say it. Voilà. Voila, you can say a little hello. Thank you very much. So we know you are there. Please open your microphone if somebody doesn't find the place for sharing notes, because I would like that everybody open it, please. And so feel relaxed to open your microphone and to say, I don't know where it is, please. But I think, voilà, there is a lot of people who say hello, thank you. Alors, I will let a few seconds for the people to arrive in case so it's on the left of your screen, on the top, on the left of your screen, the sharing notes. It's where we're going to make the game, the exercise together. And so what I propose you, I will just share with you 4 words, 4 dimensions of floss culture. And I would like to share it with you. Voilà. It's not me, it's very general information about floss culture. And so I will very quickly explain these 4 words. But during my explanation, I asked you a little exercise. So I asked everybody here present to make one comment about one of these 4 words. And it can be a comment, I'm concerning in my job about that. It can be a question, what does it mean? I don't understand. It can be a remark, this is interesting, why do, so it can be anything, just a comment, but I would like to ask everybody to make at least one comment during my presentation. So my presentation, it will be 5 minutes for these 4 words, it will be very quickly. And I will put these 4 words and floss culture in line with adult education. And so, voilà, that will be my presentation. And I repeat what you have to do. During my presentation, I ask everybody here present to make a little comment inside of the sharing notes. Voilà, and it can be really anything. It can be a hello, big kiss. But it can be a remark, a question, that's important. You can also underline something if it's interesting for you. And so the last thing I wanted to say very clearly, it's that what I learned in floss culture is that you can share a document together, even if it's not finished. And so what we are trying to do is to have a first step inside a common document. So it's also a way of working together. So feel relaxed to, it doesn't need to be the true what you write there. It can be just a question, an idea. What we do in this document is sharing ideas, and we do it by writing. So you can interrupt me inside of the document, and me I can explain and continue my idea. So it will be short times, and so please make a little comment during what I explain about these 4 words. Are there any questions, or it sounds?
Yeah. Florian, we have one request to explain again where to find these notes. So
thank you.
You have on the left of your screen the users list. Just at the top of this list, you will find the sharing notes, or whatever is this called in your language, sharing notes. Then you go there and you will see the Florian notes, which are in italic letter, and just at the bottom you can add your comments, or in the middle, maybe, Florian, just in the middle of the dimensions. So I think that's all. But please send me a private chat if you need any help. Florian, floor is yours again.
Okay, thank you very much. So first, it's just a general introduction about floss culture in line with adult education, and I will take 4 words. The first dimension is doing. Is doing that really? It's voilà. So these 4 dimensions are combined, of course. But in floss culture, you have it's about acting. It's about participating in a project. It's about finding a solution in a context. It's not something about ideas or reflection. Voilà, it's really something you do. You try if you want. And so this, I think, it's really in line with learning on the job. I mean, often in social economy, we learn on the job during integration programs where people are working with us for digital inclusions. And it's also in this way that we are normally teaching. we are teaching, giving the people the opportunity to participate on a common project for digital inclusion. And so in this line, I think floss culture is something very important to play in the doing. Voilà, I think it's in line with us. So please, I invite you once again, if you have anybody to make at least one comment to one of these points. Voilà, I don't want to make it too. I will not oblige you, but I will be very happy if you make a little comment on one of these points, but feel relaxed to make it when you want. So the second word, general about floss, it's about learning. It's always about learning. So even there is a specific importance about self-learning, but it's always about access to the information, trying access to self-support, but also peer support, access to tutorial. So it's learning is really essential and inside of any floss project. Voilà. So it's really a simple idea. I don't want to take too many time about it, but I just want to underline that today when you say learning, it's a special way of learning where it's about self-learning, but it's also about helping each other to discovering new things. And in this way, it's really in line for adult education with these meta skills that everybody's talking, that today you don't need to know new skills to use digital tools. What you need to know is how to adapt yourself to new tools, how to be critical with these tools. So it's really about learning how to learn. It's really central, I think, in floss and in relation with adult education on this point also. After the third dimension or word, it's about improving. So in any floss program, you have this dimension, and it's improving by participation. So it's about you have a problem in a system, you would like to find a solution to this problem, and using this system, you propose a way of improving it. So you are part of a solution, and I think it's very much in line once again with adult education about inclusion. I mean, digital inclusion, it's social inclusion, it's an open door. It's giving access, of course, to the tools, to the knowledge, but it's also giving access to the right to exist. And in this specific topic, I think the fact that everybody who participates improves the system and is part of the system and have access not only as a little participant, but directly at the top of the system as a decision maker and as a content producer, is something very positive, I think, to recognize the value of everybody. Voilà, that is about improving. And the last dimension, not the last, but one of the dimension is sharing. That in any project, it's not always, it's always about creating content, because the fact that you participate, voilà, have an impact on the solution that we're going to find. But it's also that the fruit about this collaboration, other person can use it also. So you have a special thinking about how you can share the result about your own thinking. So it's about collective intelligence, of course. But for adult intelligence, I think it's specifically interesting. Voilà, to be voilà, to active citizenship. It's a bit, I don't like this kind of word, but to create content at least, and to be really an actor and to share what you can give to others. And I'm thinking about interoperability. So after you can translate this inside of the software, but I'm talking generally. Right here. And so that are the four words as very general ideas about floss culture. And so the thing I wanted to show is that it's really about to develop autonomy of the person, but on a collective way, to find solution together by putting the resources of the community together, and this community try to improve this own system. Voilà. And so I think it's in line with active citizenship, and for adult education it's important, but I think also for health promotion and for long life learning and this kind of thing, not only for digital inclusion. And so this is the first step of the exercise. I don't know if I have time. A big thank you for everybody to participate, because I see the remarks here. How many times have I borrowed? May I continue? Do you know?
Yes, 6 minutes.
6 minutes, perfect for me. I don't need more. And so I have just a second step for my exercise. Thank you for the first one. This was a general introduction. I don't know if you have questions, but I have your remarks because I try to read it in the same time I see. But in the second part, maybe you will have more questions. And so I would like to share with you 3 ideas. I think it's not too much. I put it once again in the sharing notes. Boom, boom, boom. I put it at the end of the sharing notes. So please, if you go, and it's just 3 ideas, a bit less general, but specific about adult education. And I want to share it with you, please, if you have some attention thoughts, because I know it's not easy. I think it's a lot of blah, blah. But so to keep it awake, I would like to ask you to make questions about what I say. So it can be little questions, why, but one question. So everybody, please, a little questions, because it can be also a remark and say, this is important for me, or this is in my sector. It doesn't need to be a lot of things, but maybe just a remark according to your point of view, if possible. And so I will share these 3 fundamental specific, I think, what is specific for adult education. And the first one is that we are working most of the time in digital public spaces, espace public numérique in French, but I think in all around Europe we have the same. And if it's a public space where everybody is welcome to learn in an inclusive way digital skills, of course, this place needs to be respectful of the privacy of the person. And so offering Google, who's looking at the use of our learners, is not normal in a public space. It's like in school, you can also not do that. It's a public space, a school. You can do that in a publicity, you can do that in a private environment, but you can not do that in a public space. First, it's not normal, it's not in line with the RGPD, the general regulation, but it has no sense. So I don't understand why it is like this. And I think for adult education, we need to be aware about that, because it's not the case for us, not always the case to use only free tools in a public space to avoid big data watching you and influencing what you're going to buy tomorrow, or for you want to vote tomorrow. So that's the idea about big data. We know it. So I think this is very important point. And so FLOSS can protect us, help to protect us, and voilà, that's one point for public spaces. Second point, I go quickly. I to use my 6 minutes. It's how to say it very quickly. It's that it's very good. FLOSS skills are good for yourself to develop autonomy, to be strong, and to be empowered. But it's also very the market, the labor market is asking for this kind of skills. at the soft skills to cooperate, to sharing, to this is what they need to adapt. All these soft skills developed that FLOSS developed is useful, but also the hard skills about the management of data, networking, sharing, licensing, all this, they are, voilà, the market is asking in this kind of value. So it's also for adult education very useful at the personal level, but also on the market level to find a job. And the last thing, I will go very, very quickly, sorry, because I think we discussed too much, but please react by writing. And after I finished, it's the fact that FLOSS can help to give access to digital inclusion. Because it's easier to have a computer, you can have more resources. So just to have access to internet and to a computer, it can help us for digital inclusion. It can help us also to improve, to help you to realize something. It's a good tool to work, so it can help also our learners to realize things. But the thing, the most important for me, what I learned, and what the people who are working with me learn as much, is to be aware about which tool I want to use, which tool and how I'm going to use it, and where I am in this planet of digital use, where is my position, and just to have the opportunity to make a choice or to propose an alternative. I think it's really a way of learning media literacy. I think asking this question and proposing this alternative is a way of being aware about the risk, but also to invite the people to take a position with an action, and it's really concrete. And so it's a way of learning by doing media literacy. And so maybe it can be a key way in the horizon of digital inclusion for this reason. Voilà, thank you very much. That was for this reason. I see not so many answers. Thank you very much. But for the time, I think I finished. So thank you very much for participating where you participate. And I give the follow-up to Tanazis. I can ask more questions, but I don't want to lose time. Sorry, Esther. Sorry, excuse me, Esther. I hope I was not too long.
Thank you, Florian. Well, yeah, but we have quite some questions addressed to basically also the project and on. I think we should address them after your presentation, Esther and Thanasis, or yeah, let's do it like this. Yeah, that we sprint through the presentations, and then we focus on the questions, because they are also broader, not strictly connected to the adult education topic. Please, Esther, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and oh, sorry. Congratulations to Florian, because he has developed this collaborative dynamic, and I think there were a lot of interventions here. So congratulations. This is the main idea of our our meeting today, is to cooperate, isn't it? We are now talking about how what can about the use of FLOSS, or the environment of FLOSS in the workplace. No? So for us, it's very important to answer one question: no? Is how these tools, these methods, this approach can contribute to our work day by day. And also contribute to our well-being as workers, or now teleworkers, some of us, no, including this cooperation, communication with other persons. So we want to make a general reflection about the teaching and learning processes, as much as most of you, not everybody, but a lot of you are teachers or people involved in educational and training activities. During COVID pandemic, the world realized that in 3 months all teachers have improved, and the process of the digital skills and also the digitalization of their entities, schools, centers, learning centers, in 3 months, more than it was foreseen in the next 3 years. So it was very, very fast. Everybody going online, specifically in European countries. So it was kind of an emergency. People were talking on social network, asking for help, desperate, literally. And we find this was a really good opportunity for the FLOSS culture. People, managers, directors, school teachers had the opportunity to choose this kind of free culture and tools and sources in order to share and cooperate with third parties, with other teachers, other persons, and it was very, very great. So, in fact, some teachers, some schools choose these GAFAM tools, Google, Amazon, blah, 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 Facebook, and so. But a lot of people choose another path that probably implies to invest some more time, but GAFAM implies to invest some more money. So we want to explain a little bit the values of being in the FLOSS culture when you are teaching, learning, and also as a worker in general of social economy and social and solidarity sector. The values I'm presenting in the screen. It's about free intellectual exchange, cooperation, collaboration, networks, free access to knowledge, privacy of the data, not only the institution, the intellectual work of the institution, but also the workers' personal data, the finance user data, the knowledge we have in the FLOSS culture. You have the right, you can do. You can share as the way as you choose. It's about freedom, isn't it? We also think that FLOSS promotes independence, non-competence, cooperation, collaboration, generation of collaborative work, and transparency. These are more of the most important values we appreciate. Of course, there are some more. No? During lifelong learning, specifically during pandemic, we built new networks like OpenAE community, learning communities, communities of practices that are inspired by this FLOSS culture concept. We build new ecosystems, new opportunities for exchange. And it's not always about exchanging your knowledge or your methods or your sources or your training activities. It's also about sharing your fears, your questions, your needs, in order to get some answers coming from the outside, coming from people who is part of the same culture, the same FLOSS culture. So it's a culture of sharing, isn't it? We need social tools for our daily lives, isn't it? When most of us are involved in the social and solidarity economy. So for us, it's very important, and that was something that was carried out on OpenAE, to check what we need in terms of digital tools in order to adapt this free and free and open software and tools that are really, really important. So here in the screen you can see a list of tools that are really, really useful during your working time, that are very, very important. One of the most important things that appeared were while we were like going online with this OpenAE project was the of using these free tools, these open and free open source technologies. At the very beginning, not everything was in our hands. We need to know to learn to research for more tools. It was not easy changed from face-to-face learning to online learning, but we did our research, and I think most of us are still looking for the better tools to be online, to work online, or to have digital skills and to promote the digital skills of our people, our co-workers, our students, in order to have 100% of free and open source technologies. But it's not easy. But we need to work harder on that and share our findings, obviously, as we have done a Learning Academy of OpenAE project. Now, I would like to do a very simple activity with me. If you can go to this link and put it on the on both the sharing notes and also on the chat. So I would like to invite you to join here and answer the question that is shown in your screen. Is what can you do to promote the floss culture? This is an activity very open. So I would like you to join and try to add your notes, your things, your thoughts about using about promoting these values and the floss culture too. Tool, obviously, it's an open software tool, and it's very easy to manage. I will try to show you the result also inside the conference. If I can manage. I cannot. I cannot, but I'm sure that why I can't. I was testing this part. Okay. Maybe it's because of this. Okay. I see that we are receiving some notes here. I know it's not very easy to read because it's so big, the screen, but try to make you more comfortable, more open or bigger your screen. And I see that some content is coming, so it's very low. After that, I will share with you my personal point of view, but this part was meant to be collaborative and creative, so it's like brainstorming. And I really appreciate your contributions. So I can see that you are suggesting like using open software, mention the open source alternatives in more traditional courses, of course. Share the resources and your experiences on social media. That's very, very, all of them are really great. Contribute to existing projects around me, like Wikipedia, Fab Labs, open educational resources. Also running projects that promote the use of floss, of course. Transition ourselves and support others to the transition. It's okay. And this one says list of easy to use and free software alternatives. Well, very good. We have great suggestions. Thanks for this part of of sharing ideas. I will try to come back to my presentation again, so I can show you what we were thinking about. All of these are obviously great content that is very, very welcome. I think it's important what you have said, and you have said, and as you can see, we have some very similar ideas. During the pandemic, things changed. I expect that change forever, and after pandemic, we will stay on this flows culture and flows thinking. So yes, of course, we will invite you to look for alternatives, learn more about flows culture, talk about flows culture, as you have said, on social networks, on private conversations between your colleagues, with your co-workers, and so. Join the flows community, share your knowledge. Share, I guess, is the main keyword of the session. Promote the implicit values of flows culture. Flows culture means a lot, so talk about this with your friends, with your colleagues. Highlight, disseminate the information about the organizations who are promoting the flows culture. This is very important. We are not alone. It's very interesting to disseminate, to spread the word, and also to highlight the people who is working on this, because we will make change the agenda of the communication, and this is important. Obviously, think about the tools, the physical tools, reuse, recycle, share your technology, avoid buying something new. If you can reuse or adapt your devices. And this includes internet connection that works, I don't know, in other countries of Europe, but here in Spain, Barcelona, where I work, there was a social movement of sharing Wi-Fi for those students who were disconnected because the families don't have money enough to pay connection. That is really important in the city of Barcelona. And question yourself all the times without anxiety. It's just a matter of thinking about this and putting this in your agenda and asking yourself again and again, what can I do to promote this sharing culture? I will share you with I will share now some ideas we have developed on Collective, the organization where I deploy my work. That is a small cooperative in the city of Barcelona. We have been collecting free tools for teleworking. Sadly, this I will put this website on the chat, but sadly everything is in Catalan because it's our local language, and the most used that you can use Google Deep Translator for translation and understanding. But at the end, I'm showing an automatic translation to you. I don't know if maybe this is very small, that you can amplify by clicking on the button you will find on the right of your screen, just behind, on the top, at the bottom of the cameras, if you need to maximize the presentation. So we just were thinking about the tools we need for teleworking, the more emerging, the more necessary tools, and make and pick some of them and explain them. And we also have built a repository of tools that you can use in order to get more information and in order to choose the better tool for some utility, or in order to change a private tool for a free and open tool. So that was some of the ideas that we had in order to promote this during the pandemic. This is like an adventure. This is something that is this is an ongoing work that you should, we should keep working on that. It's not easy to have a 100% flows culture involving you, but as far as you are working through it, the idea is that you will get it, or we will get it. So thank you very much for listening. I don't know if you want to share some notes on the sharing notes or some ideas on the chat. You are very welcome. Meanwhile, I will pass the floor to Borut again so he can introduce Thanasis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Esther. The last but certainly not least presentation here is from Thanasis from White.org Foundation. Thanasis will talk about FLOSS, employment and employability. Yes, sorry, I got distracted a bit. Thanasis, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you both. Thank you, everyone. I will try to, at the same time, continue the note-taking exercise that Florian started. So I would invite all of you to see, as long as I speak, the different parts of my presentation appearing as text so that you can click on the links and see yourselves the examples that I will show you. That's my first goal. And the second one is to actually take up from Esther and Florian and show why this kind of culture and competence and skills that we are talking about becomes very important today in our societies. So we live in societies where the actual use of algorithms and artificial intelligence is becoming something like a mainstream situation, something that can happen whenever and without us really knowing about it. When I say us, it's like us, like citizens, like people that are supposed to train others to understand the world better and make this their life a bit easier. So if I give you just a couple of examples of things that have happened in the last years, I think you will understand why this kind of situation right now is becoming a little bit more, let's say, urgent. Amazon in 2018 tried to recruit people from some new services, and then they used some kind of algorithm that tried, let's say, to understand who would be fit for this situation. And then they realized that the algorithm itself, with the data that they used, had significantly damaged the possibilities for women to be part of this kind of recruitment. So again, we don't know more about, because all these things, all these algorithms, the Amazon algorithms were not open source and they were just something that Amazon was using. But what we know at the end is that there was a big bias against people when it came to actually being recruited for a big company like Amazon. And I imagine this happens now much more because of different platforms like LinkedIn or HireVue and right now to recruit people online and use the things that they have on their CVs. So this is example number one. Example number two that I'll share with you is that the Netherlands administration is using algorithms to, let's say, to better allocate social services and social security allowances. They use it quite often in 2018, 2009, 2019, only to understand that they have underprivileged thousands of families that now have turned again. They couldn't access to what security rights they had already. By putting the administration itself behind algorithms that are closed and are opaque, first of all, they damaged people that they couldn't access anymore their own social security rights. But also, it was almost impossible for them to have someone to discuss and understand why they were not anymore eligible for this kind of services. And this became possible only after concrete juristic action was taken against the Dutch administration. The same thing goes with the UK government, which used an algorithm on classifying people after having the results from school, students, classifying students as to access to different universities. And again, the UK government had to take back this algorithmic, let's say, decision making, and they had to come back to the old-fashioned style because the algorithms that they were using were not giving the results that people were expecting or that even the institutions themselves were supposed to have. And they were really biased from the initial data that they had inside the system, which initial data wasn't exactly what teachers have thought should be the result of this kind of exams. Finally, there's another study which is very interesting that comes from 2019 that shows the way that platforms like Facebook, for example, target specific audiences when it comes to using specific services. So again, we create a world where all kinds of stereotypes that we have thought in the previous years were true are now represented in the data that we're feeding these algorithms, be it for recruitment, be it for education, or for, let's say, for advertisement. And this kind of, let's say, blind and uncritical use of data is creating inequalities and injustice, which is repeated now in the world. So when we speak about flows and this idea of putting ourselves in some kind of critical situation, understanding what kind of tools we are using and what kind of impact they have to us, this is not a theoretical, let's say, or some kind of, abstract discussion. This is very practical, and even more practical than just what kind of platform will I access to talk to people. It's really about people's lives. And these examples, I hope somehow illustrate this kind of urgency. Now, one should ask as a following, let's say, part, what can be done? I mean, what can we have, let's say, what is happening already? What people are thinking would be the answer. And this is my second part of the things that I would like to propose as existing solutions, is that we have companies like IBM or universities, research centers, other industrial companies that are very much aware that this happens and this is unfair. So they have started initiatives already asking for major collaborations between public, private, academia, citizen-driven organizations, in order to understand that, to pass the point that all this kind of algorithmic or artificial intelligence solutions should be open source, and they should have frameworks where these kind of values that we talked before in our presentation are somehow applied to that. You have cities like Helsinki and Amsterdam, for example, that they have opened their artificial intelligence repositories, and they are showing people in advance, they explain when are they using algorithms and for what kind of results. And this is a good example of towns that actually taking this initiative, and they create already a good practice of how to open algorithms and show the use that it's been done for citizens. And I don't see why this kind of demand shouldn't be also addressed to private organizations like LinkedIn, like Facebook, and others, that they have so much of our own data, and why we shouldn't understand better what kind of algorithms they use to push their information, and how we can become citizens, become people that have solution and can contribute to this kind of improvement of their function. So these are legitimate questions that I think we should all have. And the flow culture is giving us, let's say, the theoretical framework and the tools to understand them and act upon them. And then my final part, before I invite you all to a larger discussion, is to show you some of why the open skills are important in this exercise. So first point that we think that we all understood, that was also very much clearly discussed from Florian and Esther, is that there is some kind of skills and ethics that should be somehow adopted by everyone, at least for everyone that believes that this situation is not acceptable, and this kind of opacity shouldn't be what will be the future of our lives. So the skills and ethics are linked to a lot to what FLOSS is about, and it's mostly about, let's say, working together to find solutions. And when we find solutions, we share them in a way that are usable for the communities that we work with. A little bit like what we said before. The second one is that we need to be more, let's say, clever on the data sharing processes that we are being in right now. The real question is that with whom do we share data, and whom do we consider that should be guaranteeing the data for us? For example, maybe do we think that we should be all our data should, let's say, accessed from Facebook and other platforms with no other, let's say, guarantees, or with no other limitations? Should we believe that private companies can reuse our data with no more saying from our side? I don't think so. I think that we more and more discuss about how the public should be responsible and accountable for the use of our data. The same thing should apply for our for private organizations, and we should find common frameworks to work with them. And finally, this is one, something that comes often to my discussions when it comes about, let's say, employability. How do I use LinkedIn, and what should I put on my CV? How my tag should appear? And what we say in a situation is that, yes, you should spend time to understand maybe your tags, organize well what you know for, present your skills. and maybe have an online presence in platforms like LinkedIn and others. But in our experience, this will not get you a job. And this will not get you a job because actually working means that you have a local network of people that you are close with, that you discuss with them, that you spend time with the communities close to you, that you help others be well in yourselves. And this is what gets you a job at the end of the day. It's not only your online presence, it's that you took the time to contribute to things that are around you, that you contribute to the work of others. And we believe that the skills that are important for finding a job in the future is not only this kind of online presence skills, it's also about how to be part of something that exists and how I work with others to make something that exists better and more open and more useful to others. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I would like to ask both to take back the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thanasis. Well, yeah, now I feel like I should really reflect on what you said and take a few minutes rather than try to speak here. But no. Definitely.
Please be my guest.
Oh, I shut up. So you guys take over. I go on the sun and think about it. No, but definitely, it's about sharing and discussing. And before just moving to the last part, I in the share notes I pasted the questions from the first part when Florian was explaining things, and I think they're much more general. And I would invite you, Esther, Florian, and Thanasis, to try to answer some of these questions. For instance, Thanasis, you were talking about the skills, how to show them, and I think this was connected to the flow skills. What is the best way to show this kind of skills in the CV, or this kind of attitude also?
Yes. Excellent question. Yes, I will give you a very clear example. For myself, when I need to recruit something or someone that needs to, for example, to be to know that he has editing skills, or that has, let's say, skills in coordination or on collaboration, I would the first question that I would ask them is that to show me where they have done this before, and with this I would expect very clear, let's say, places to show me their existing, let's say, prints online. One excellent platform for doing this is Wikipedia, for example. If you have actually managed to edit articles in Wikipedia and you have managed to get your edits accepted in the Wikipedia family, let's say, and if you have managed to talk with people and actually explain them why your edits are important to an article, then I would definitely believe that you have the skills to be a good editor, or communication skills, or whatever else you think. All I'm saying is that with this, that in the flows culture, skills are not only written on a CV, they have to come from spaces where you can actually demonstrate this kind of work that you've done before, and demonstrate it not in the sense that you can only say, okay, go, here is my link, find my PDF online, is that people have actually participated to either to, let's say, to accepting your work, like your peers, for example, or that they have actually, you've done actually something with others to go to bring something to a step further. To conclude, Broad, I think that it's very important that this new kind of culture flows is giving us the opportunity when we are working online to actually show what we can do with others. And this kind of showing is very important to take places where communities are existing and that the communities are already working in issues that they find important. And we, for example, in ourselves, we definitely give a lot of, let's say, a focus on this kind of area. Please tell us what you've done already in your local communities or online or wherever, but please tell us how the others accepted also what you've done. So this is the new kind of culture.
Thank you very much, Thanasis, for very on-point and concrete examples. I have another questions connected to this. I mean, it's a comment, but it's related also to this sharing and being a part of the community. One of our participants wrote, what I find really very difficult in my working experience is sharing. So I think we can all relate to that at some point or another. We were in a position where this was kind of tough. And Esther, maybe what's your take on this?
Good question. This is easier when the institution culture is also the sharing culture. It's not about you and your own practice, that obviously yes, but it's about belonging to an ecosystem that is promoting this sharing culture. If you have difficulties here, you can start a conversation with some others that do this sharing culture and publishing openly their knowledge, their contents, their experience, and so, and try to involve the managers or the decision makers in your institution within this conversation. This is very, very important. A sharing culture is not something that appears today. It's something you need to keep working, to keep on going, and you will find the benefits of doing this. You can start obviously in a personal level, just trying to share something through a website, Wikipedia, for example. And when you find the feedback, the positive feedback you will get from your surrounding, the people who is involved around you, you will get excited and want it to. You will want to continue. I don't know if maybe Florian can also share the experience during the training. I know that he was sharing the notes and the lessons and the content openly with the students, with the participants, and he get a lot of feedback by doing that. And if I'm not wrong, it was the first time you did it.
I'm sharing too much and nobody's reading until the end. So I know it's not good to share too much because you kill the people, but I try to share. So I say we want to take. So it's access to the code for me. Sharing the knowledge. Nobody is forced to read it. But if you want to go deeper to know where it's coming from, you know the source. So, but I completely agree with you that it's an ambient of sharing. It's not easy to build. And for Max, for example, our own organization, it's really something we try to build, but it's really about how we want to work together. Huh? And so I think that if you choose collaborative tools, it can have a good impact about the way you work together with your teams. And so it's about cultivating an environment, but also about choosing the good tools, because some tools divide the person. It's inside of the code of the algorithm, if you want. And I think this is the most thing, choosing tools that we want adapted to what we want to do, the way we want to work.
I would say, sorry, Thanasis, that keep it as easy as possible. This is very, very important.
And I think that Florian is touching at a very important point when he says that code can divide and tools can divide people. I will give you a very simple example that all people here can understand. When you use Google tools, or let's say Google Docs platform, the Google Documents, you see that you always are the person responsible that wrote the text. You start the text, and then you appear always like the person that is the owner of the text. When you go to the wiki platforms, let's say, or to the wiki culture, the content itself is the important. You have tracks of everything that has been changed, but the content belongs to no one by himself. Nobody is the owner exclusive of the content. It's the different, let's say, versions of the content that are important from different people, not the original person that actually owns the document. So this is just to give you an example of how code actually can divide us. Because if Florian invites me to Google where he has created the doc, then I know that I'm working on his document at the end of the day, and that's how I feel. When in the wiki culture, this kind of owner is much less important. The important part is the keeping tracks of who did what and how the document grew. I hope that this makes clear why the code, what Florian is saying, that the code and the application sometimes can divide us, and then they're not neutral.
I think this is a great bridge to the next question, and we'll conclude the discussion with this question. And because we would also like to explore the possibilities of future collaboration with all of you present here today. But the last question: if you wouldn't explain this Thanasis so clearly, I would not understand it at the end of the day. And when we work together, just a brief jump to the past, I came to the project not from the beginning, and my background is definitely not in flows. So especially at the beginning, even though accommodated and helped, I found myself not really understanding stuff, and I can really identify with the next question that goes, even though free, libre, open source software technologies are meant to be open and freely accessible, new users with low skills are often intimidated or insecure with their own capacities to use them, and end up choosing the proprietary options. How can we help new users gain the confidence? I think you all three have rich experience in this field, and please share them with us.
Esther, go ahead, please. No, you have.
I can answer because I have
yes,
no
please.
experience in floss. I cannot use floss. I'm not using floss. I'm starting to think about and to learn a bit. I'm using. Yes, I start to use a few tools in my work. It's not yet implemented in the public space. It's not everywhere. So it's a way. But what I want to say is that for the multimedia animators we were working with during the training, a lot of them doesn't have any experience, and it was for them the most interesting because it really opened your mind about something, and it's not complicated because you can take it at any level. So we don't ask you to go inside of the code. Nobody asked me to go inside of the code, and I'm very much limited. But you can go. Anybody can go. And for media literacy, the people who have very small knowledge, who are beginners, the big and why they have problems is because they don't know how to use the information. This is the real problem. Today is really plug and play. The problem is that what you do with the information, and this it develops you a critical point of view also. So that I think really at all level, and I have feedback from people who have nothing. I'm one of them. It can be useful for all levels.
And it's more difficult for the people who see really inside the private license culture than for new users or people who has not a lot of digital skills, because free and open source technology are how do you say that, are people-centered, are focused for in order to facilitate the participants to have a good experience. Most of them, obviously, not the more technical ones, but these media literacy, office, very everyday single tool are easier for a non-very digital skills people. Sorry, this is like sounding. Okay, I'm explaining not very well, but as lower is your digital skill competence, as much better to get inside flows culture. This is absolutely real. We have here with a network of e-facilitators, we work in difficult environments, high risk of social poverty and social and cultural poverty, and it's easier to introduce these tools there. But also keep in mind that the value is more important than the software, is what Florian has said. The content itself is stronger and more important. Thanasis, would you add something, maybe?
Just one phrase to complete what you said, and I would return the question to Borg, saying that I mean, maybe you don't use flows every day and not to everything, and most of us don't, but I think you understand the urgency, for example, to open up algorithms, artificial intelligence, and everything that actually the political, let's say, demand behind the openness of the code and understanding what's happening. I think it's was something we can all refer, even if we don't use, let's say, all tools in the everyday life. So we shouldn't be intimidated by the fact that we don't use tools, let's say, or that were not fully of loss in our daily life, that doesn't impeach us from actually having clear demands on what the future should be. And the future should be flawless. And this is where I think we should be working in the future with all the people available here. What are the areas that we should be believing that people should learn more, find common skills, and make sure that the area itself becomes flawless in the future. That's why I mentioned algorithms and artificial intelligence, because it's so hyped now. So I was saying that maybe the demand is this one. Let's find ways to actually work together, so make sure that the next, let's say, wave of technology is more open and available to everyone from the beginning. And this is a demand I think that everybody can contribute to, or can adhere to, and not only the ones that are using, let's say, floss now as tools in their everyday life.
Yeah, thanks to all of you, and I so much agree with this. I mean, using flows is not. I mean, again, like similar to other fields, we are not speaking about the silos, right? Incorporating Fluss values and Fluss culture doesn't mean I need to have a computer with Linux on and only use the LibreOffice, right? If I simplify it very, very, very much. But no, excellent. I would like to continue this debate, but we are running out of time. But we would not want to finish this without opening up also discussion how we can meet for another debate. In what kind of collaboration we can work on with all of you, because we as the OpenAE partners would like to continue working in this field. Either it's going to be a future project, but definitely it's a community that we would like to nurture and spread. And Thanasis, here I give the floor back to you to moderate us through this part.
So I would invite anyone who wants to take the floor, either with the public chat, either with the camera, to just tell us if they think that there's an area that they would like to work in the future, and what this area would be, and then we engage ourselves to actually find the opportunity and the way to work in it. But please share with us what is the area where there's an urgency to be more open, more floss oriented, and more collaborative. Is it education? Is it other areas? Is it public administration? What do you think? So this is a question to all of us, let's say.
This is going to be hard as far as it's like.
Of course, yeah.
Maybe we can just ask to everybody if there is a question or a remark, if somebody want to have something to say. I know it's not easy, but I would like to invite it clearly. So maybe it can be a remark, a question.
Yeah, and people can open the microphone.
Yes, that's what I would like. If somebody just to. Is it a question in the room?
Meanwhile, I'm sharing the Blackboard, a new one for people to share
notes
to share notes even after the meeting today. We will monitor.
The question, yes, that's a very good idea, Esther. And the question is that can you give us areas where you think that this kind of culture and this kind of collaboration would be interesting for the future? That's what we would like to know, so we can actually invite you to our next steps and to the things that we think that are important to do, project-wise, or let's say training-wise, or webinar-wise, or whatever. So is the same link?
It's another link of the Scrabble.
And you put it in the public chat, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I put it here, and also I will add on the other part. Sharing notes so people can identify elements or for future cooperation, future ideas. There's something flying. There was some comment. I would like to highlight it. Meanwhile, we are writing down this brainstorming thing. There was some question related to self-exploitation, working overtime. No? The question was, what about self-exploitation, working overtime? And I want to comment that part of this social and solidarity economy environment is, I don't know in English how to say, but it's the care or taking care of ourselves. It's like taking care of our schedule, our stress, our family, our work, and taking care of being solidary also with yourself, with your colleagues, and this social care. It's important to take into account. It's something maybe it's a little bit not so close to the floss culture, but yes, it is part of the floss culture. Building this healthy environment, taking care of you, of yours, your colleagues. But do you want to speak aloud, to read aloud with the notes? Or?
Yeah, we have 4 suggestions for proposals. I'll quickly go through them. The first one is raising awareness on floss and why, how, and where we should use floss technologies. The second area was the floss and public administration, public servants understanding floss. The third one is the validation competence of multimedia animators in digital inclusion with floss curriculum. The fourth one is floss and employability. And there's the fifth one also coming in, but I think we can safely assume that it's quite a wide range of areas that our participants together with us would like to explore. And I also think this is a good motivation for all of us to start also thinking maybe about, today we talked about 3 areas altogether, but maybe to address each of the single areas also proposed on the board with the future events, which could also be less formal in terms of there's this presentation and that presentation, and maybe less formal, more informal, so it's more also exchange between all of us, not only like the 4 of us. But yeah, I definitely see this these concluding thoughts, proposals as a clear sign that this is worthwhile continuing. What do you think, guys and girl?
I think so.
Yes, definitely. This is areas that we need to understand a bit better, let's say, what exactly we can do. But yeah, I think it's worth continuing the discussion and at the same time raising the awareness, which is the main key, let's say, to all these things. I mean, whatever area, raising the awareness of what we said today with more examples and more concrete, let's say, tools, what to do what, when to do what, I think is the key to the future.
Thank you. I put my email into the public chat, borut.think@all-digital-digital.org. We agreed that I will take all the, I mean, maybe you'll go for a walk after this event, and some idea will pop into your mind, and write to me, write to us, because when you write to me, you write to us. We would be happy to receive your thoughts, feedbacks, future proposals, and looking forward to them. And on the other end, we definitely will continue with this kind of events in the future. It's hard to say what kind of exactly, but we'll come up with a concrete plan and share it with you. Since you also were kind enough to register for this event, and we have also your contact information. but we also respect your time, and we appreciate a lot that you also stuck with us for 8 more minutes than it was initially announced and planned, and would like to close the event at this point. But before I do this, I would like to give one last word to my colleagues, to our speakers today, to Esther, Florian, and Thanasis, to also wrap this up, and then we'll say goodbye. Yeah, that will be it. And please, Esther, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just saying thank you, and willing to cooperate and collaborate with more people and more. And I really would like this OpenAE project to continue, but involving more people, achieving bigger numbers in terms of impact, and also to inviting everybody who has been here to join us and join the Flash culture. It could be a pleasure.
Definitely. Florian, please.
Thank you very much. I think it's maybe a very good way and an horizon for digital inclusion. I think a path and a concrete tool. And so I think if every actor asks the question, why don't we use it more? Or why don't we use it? Or why don't we use it? Maybe a good question for next step. Thank you very much.
Please, Thanasis.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me, sharing with us. Thank you for sharing our worries and our hopes for the future. And please be part of this trip. I know that all Digital will keep working in this area, and I'm very happy for it. And I'm so honored to be part of this team. Thank you, everyone.
I would like to thank Esther, Florian, and Thanasis for your inputs, your thoughts, and your expertise. Thanks to all the participants. Stay healthy, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and see you at the next opportunity. Bye-bye.